everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Makeup by McKenzie and I'm McKenzie, obviously. Today we're just going to be doing this super easy look that you can easily do running out of the door, going to work, going to church. It's super easy, super quick, and you can easily dress it up for later in the day. I'm also going to be answering some questions that I wrote down that I thought you guys might want to know about me since I'm new to the world of YouTube. Let's play with some makeup, shall we? Alright, so let's get started putting this look together. I'm going to start off by taking my mascara, and this is the CoverGirl Lash Blast Fusion in waterproof, and I'm actually going to stick it in my bra. And I'm doing that so that I can warm up the formula on the inside, and it kind of just makes it more pliable so it doesn't get as clumpy and it goes onto your lashes easier. That's just kind of a neat trick, and if you don't feel comfortable sticking it in your bra, or you're a guy and you don't have one, you can just put it in a glass of warm water. That works perfectly well. The next thing I'm going to do is prime my face. I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Face Primer. There we go. And you don't really need too much, just about that much, just on the tip of your finger there. And I'm just going to rub that into my face here. Starting from the center and blending outwards. The next thing I'm going to do is prime my eyelids using the NYX Proof It Waterproof Eyeshadow Primer. Just going to take it and you just put a little bit on your eyelid there, and you can rub it in with your finger. Now that that is done, I'm going to put on concealer. I don't usually put on foundation on a regular basis, and so since this look is like my everyday routine, that's what I'm going to do. I don't want it all caked onto my face. And that's just my personal preference. I do really like having a lighter face during the day, so most of the time I just put on concealer. And that's kind of a nice trick for just if you're trying to go a little bit lighter with the amount of makeup that you put on. If you're running late and you need to do something really quick, just putting on concealer on some key points of your face is a really nice trick to kind of save some time. Alright, so I'm going to just put this on under my eyes, so just in a triangular shape under my eye like that, and that helps to direct light up and brighten your under eyes. Then I'm going to put it on just a little bit on my chin, on the corners under my nose, on the bridge of my nose, in this triangular area right there, and then on any blemishes or other places where I want to conceal a little bit more. And then you take a damp blending sponge or your concealer brush, whatever you prefer. I like to use the Real Techniques Beauty Sponge, and I'm just gonna blend that in by doing these little bouncing, dabbing motions. While I'm doing this, I'm gonna start on those questions that I wrote down to start asking myself so you guys can get to know me a little bit better. And the first one is, where do you live? I actually live in the Washington, D.C. area, so the DMV. So if you're from the DMV, let me know down in the comments. It'd be kind of cool to know who is in my area and is watching my channel. And for those of you who don't know, the DMV, when I refer to the DMV, doesn't mean the Department of Motor Vehicles. It means D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Another question is, how old am I? I'm 22 years old. I grew up in an Air Force family, so both of my parents were in the Air Force and both of them have been deployed to Iraq. So we settled down here in the DC area when I was in 5th grade. So we've been here quite a long time, but up until then we hadn't lived anywhere for longer than 3 years. So this is the place that I've lived in the longest. So the next step is I'm going to go ahead and set my face. So I'm going to use the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder, and this is in the shade 110 Creamy Natural. I'm just tapping off any excess there. And then I'm going to blend under my eye here, just to make sure there isn't any creasing before I set it. And then I'm just gonna go like this. So I'm just taking a bigger brush. These both brushes, I'm sorry I didn't mention it. Both of these brushes are from Real Techniques. This one is the big powder brush, and the other one is called the multi-purpose brush. And I use it to set under my eyes. And I'm just taking this all over my face. My base is basically done, and I am going to move on to my eyebrows. I have actually pretty nice eyebrows, if I do say so myself. And I really don't need to draw them in, and I really am diligent about keeping them orderly, but I do tend to have some patches in them where I could use a little bit of help. I have had trouble finding brow products that match my hair. Sometimes I find that they're like too dark, they're too light, and sometimes they're too red, which is really weird. So I actually use a eyeshadow color from this palette. This is the Maybelline The Nudes palette. And let me see, can you guess which one I use? Let's see, maybe it's the one that I hit pan on. So it's actually, it's this shade right here. And I just take a flat eyeliner brush, so I use a brush like this. This is from Eco Tools, I believe. And I just take some of that onto my brush here. And I just go through and fill my eyebrows really lightly. And then when I get to the center here, I like to go in upward motions. It kind of mimics the hair growth a little bit better. So you see how this one is just looks a little bit more than that one? I like to take a brow brush just like this one. This one's from Wet n Wild. And I just like to go through and just kind of comb them out a little bit just to blend out the pigment that I just put down so it's not quite so harsh. And it looks a little bit more natural. Now I'm gonna move on to the eyes, and I always start off with using a shade that is closest to my skin tone. And this one is from Wet n Wild. This is kind of my go-to. This is the shade Creme Brulee, and it perfectly matches my skin tone. And when I'm like really quick during the day, like if I'm trying to get out the door as fast as I can, I just take a bunch of this and just dust it all over my entire eyelid, and that evens out the skin tone on my eyelids because my eyelids tend to be darker than the rest of my skin. So I use this to kind of just even everything out. I like to take this and just brush it along my brow bone and kind of down towards the crease, and that will help with blending things out later. So now we're going to get into the eyeshadow look, and this is just going to be very natural. So I'm using for this the Urban Decay Ultimate Basics palette, and this is a really great neutral palette. So if you're looking for a neutral palette that kind of has all of the essentials in it, that's what it looks like on the inside. And it's just a great neutral palette that you can kind of use on an everyday basis, but also it complements some of more glam looks. So I'm going to start off by taking the shade Commando, which is right here, and I'm going to take quite a bit of it, and then you can tap it off. And I'm just going to dust that into the crease, and I'm just doing it in windshield wiper motions, and then when I get to the outer edge, I do these circular motions like this, kind of blending it out. Let me go to another question, which is, do you prefer drugstore or high-end makeup? And I don't know if it's necessarily a preference, but I tend to use way more drugstore items than I use high-end. And just simply because the drugstore has been killing it in the past few years, and so I don't really feel the need to spend tons of money on high-end products when I can get cheaper things from the drugstore that work just as well. There are certain things that I am willing to spend more money on, like eyeshadow palettes. Like this is Urban Decay, is a more high-end brand. The eyeshadow that comes from high-end palettes are higher quality usually. Usually they're higher quality. So I feel like it's a little bit more reasonable to spend $40 to $50 on a palette that you know you're going to use all the time, that has some really great quality eyeshadow shades and things in it. Alright, so let's move on to the next thing. And I'm going to take the shade Tinted on a slightly smaller brush. This one and the other one were from Morphe, and I really need to wash this one. So I'm going to take the shade Tinted, which is right next to Commando, onto this brush. And I'm going to just keep it concentrated in the outer crease. And then I'm going to fluff it in to the outer third of the lid here. And just keeping it into that outer third. So this is turning out a little bit darker than I wanted, but that's okay. When I use that lighter shade, it's really gonna lighten it up, but hey, whatever. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do, we've got that all laid down, and it looks pretty nice, but it doesn't look very blended. So I'm actually going to take a cleanish brush. This is also from Morphe. And I'm just going to go along the edges and just blend it out. Just going back and forth along those edges. And when you think you're done blending, blend some more, so it doesn't look super harsh. And just keep blending. Just keep blending. Just keep blending. So there you go. Can you see the difference? How this one looks a little bit softer than this eye? Yeah, it really does help to blend it out. And if you're having trouble blending, you can take some more of that skin tone shade, like the creme brulee that I put on there before, and you can take some of that onto your brush and go over the edges, and that will help to soften them a little bit more too. But using a clean brush should do the trick. Alrighty, we're pretty good right now. So I'm going to take the shade Blow right here. It's the lightest shade in the palette. And I'm going to take some of that onto my finger, just like that. And I'm just going to pack it onto the inner 2/3 of the lid, and then blend it into that outer shade on the outer third. And this is really going to help to brighten it up a little bit. And this shade Blow is kind of nice because it's mostly matte, but it has very subtle shimmer to it. So it really does help brighten up without looking like you've got glitter all over your eye. If it doesn't feel like it's blending very well between the outer third, you can take that brush you used and you can just kind of pat and do downward strokes right where the two meet, and that helps to blend them together. So we've got everything done with the eyes. The next step is eyeliner. My preference with eyeliner is actually powder. I find that I have more control with it, and that's just, again, my personal preference. So I'm going to take a angled brush. This one is from e.l.f. And I'm going to take the shade Blackjack from that palette, and I'm just going to start going along my lash line here. And I like to start in the center of the lid and kind of work my way out. If you have hooded eyes like I do, keeping the eyeliner thin really helps to open up your eyes and make it so you can actually still see your eyeshadow. But again, that is still a personal preference, and if you think that thicker eyeliner looks better on you, go ahead, do it. Alright, so we've got our eyelashes curled, and the next step is to do our mascara. So we're going to reach into our shirts or into our glasses of water and pull out our mascara. So I'm going to take that, it's all nice and warm now, and we're just going to go on our lashes. Alright, and I like to go on my lower lashes as well. Okay, so the mascara is done, and now I'm just going to really quickly highlight around my eyes. I'm not going to highlight my face because I don't really do that on a regular basis, but I do tend to highlight around my eyes all the time. So what I'm going to use is the Mary-Louminizer from the Balm, and I actually got this from a Ipsy bag. So I'm going to take a little brush like this one, and this one is also from Morphe, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that right onto my brush. And at first I'm going to put it on the inner corner of my eye. And you see how it brightens it up and just makes your eye look a little bit more awake? The difference here. And then I'm going to take a little bit more on that same brush. And I'm just going to go right under my eyebrow, starting from the arch and then blending it outwards towards the tip, just like that. You see the difference? This eye just looks more lifted and awake, and this one doesn't. Alright, we've got both eyes highlighted now, so I'm going to move on to blush. And I'm not going to do bronzer today because I don't do bronzer on a regular basis. But there are some kind of neat tricks that you can do with blush to fake bronzer a little bit. So this is the Milani Baked Powder Blush in the shade Berry Amore. It's a kind of nice pink shade that's got some gold in it. It's a really pretty blush. It's one of my favorites. And I'm going to take a fluffy brush just like this one. This one is from e.l.f. and this is the e.l.f. blush brush. And when you're putting it onto your cheeks, you want to start here and then sweep up. And you can actually go a little bit lower to kind of fake some contour, fake some bronzer a little bit. And so I'm just going to put it there. And you see how I'm blending it upwards. You don't want to do a circular motion here. You want to blend it up your cheekbone, just like that. And I actually think I put a little bit too much on this side. And so that's a really easy fix. Just take your brush that you used for your setting powder and just go over it a little bit. And you can blend it out so that it's not quite so. Now another way that you can fake your bronzer as well is to take a little bit more of that blush and just go up around your temples with it, just to warm your face up a little bit. Alright, so we've got our blush down, and the last thing is lips. And so I'm going to use the Burt's Bees Tinted Lip Balm, which is just a very lightweight thing to use instead of a lipstick for an everyday basis, to use a tinted lip balm. And this is in the shade Red Dahlia. It's one of my favorites. And we've finished off this look, and it's really easy to do for every single day. And you can go ahead and set everything with a setting spray if you want to. For every day, maybe for work, for church, this is a pretty safe, neutral look, and it's quick. So the last question everybody will probably be asking is, are you a makeup artist? And the answer to that question is no. I am not a makeup artist. I have no special training with makeup, serve clients unless you count my friends as clients. And so you might be wondering, why then should I watch your channel? That's exactly the reason why you should watch my channel. We go to 3 different people for makeup advice. The first one is your mother. The second is beauty influencers, makeup artists, experts, doctors, maybe, for that kind of thing, but basically experts. And then third is your friends. And your friends are no different than me. They're just ordinary women who wear makeup every single day, and they know what they like and they use what they like, share tips and tricks and things like that. And so basically I want to be your friend. I'm your friend, and it's just you, me, and the FBI guy behind my camera who's watching me right now. I'm so glad you're able to join us, you guys, you, me, and the FBI guy. I'm just a person who likes to wear it and wants to talk about it. I hope you really liked this video. I really enjoyed making it for you. I hope you will tune in for my future videos. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MU by McKenzie. I will see you next time. Remember, makeup has no rules. They're more like guidelines. So you do you, boo-boo. Bye, see you next time. Yay. Today we're just going to be doing these blah blah be-do, 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 be-do. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. This is blah blah blah. Towards the lower onto blah blah. Blah blah. Excellent. Let's start that over. My neighbor likes to have music on when he's working on his car. He's playing the song Knocking on Heaven's Door. Just like that. Ooh, I got a little eye gooby. I have a hard time with liquid eyeliner. What song is he listening to? It kind of sounds like Crazy Train. Like Crazy Train. No, I don't think that's it. Like mullets, you know? Trends are like mullets. Party in the front. No. Business in the front. Party in the back. So now I'm going to move on to eyes. And I don't have it here. Brilliant. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to curl my lashes. And it's over there. No, sorry, that was weird. Lifted and awake. Get my mirror back out. And I dropped a brush. Yay!